Hi, everyone. Welcome and thanks for joining us. I'm Bevin Fletcher, Senior Editor of Stream TV Insider, and I'm here with Denis Oštir, Editor-in-Chief of Smart TV OS Operating System V. Hey, Denis, how are you?
Hello, doing great. It's Friday evening, so how could I be?
Ahead of the weekend. Good place to be. Now, okay, so we've spoken before about your data-driven approach to content at V, and you told me you're a proponent of AI, but you kind of emphasize the need for a human in the loop, saying if everything was left up to AI and algorithms, it would be a huge problem, basically, for recommendations. But we also see data from Graceno and others showing it takes consumers, on average, more than 10 minutes to find something to watch. So content discovery isn't ideal. So I guess with that in mind, is there any kind of concrete examples that V is either working on currently or that you see near-term future of where AI can make a significant impact on helping content discovery and a better user experience?
So I think the first step is getting metadata from partners. I think that is where AI could help. Where we have metadata gaps, for example, that is where we could use AI to fulfill those, to get content descriptions, for example, done automatically to go around the web, figure out what a piece of content is to fill in the missing gaps. For example, a partner might only give us one image, right? Now we have to resize that image into various sizes for different placements across the platform. We could use AI to do that. Also, we could use it to, again, we have one image, maybe we want to make different variations out of it, not purely just cropping it, but actually making new images out of it. We could do that. We could also fill in the gaps of, we have a title, but we don't have, for example, the cast, or we don't have information about the additional cast, there are producers. That is all where we could use to fulfill the gaps that are missing. And then once we have the proper metadata, that is where content discovery comes into place. That is where we can actually then go out and place that in the launcher, either automatically using AI to get the proper recommendations, or manually. Like you've said, I think manual still is an important part of it, to shorten the time it takes for people to get to that content. I don't think AI is going to completely eliminate that. It cannot completely eliminate it. What can eliminate it is the understanding inside of our industry that these walled gardens where you create your own application, everything's mine and I'm hiding everything from everyone else, that is what is actually preventing customers from getting inside of the applications, because they don't know what's inside, right? I need to figure out, okay, I want to watch my football game tonight, or I want to watch my soccer game. The World Cup is coming. What is the platform on which I'll be able to watch that piece of content? Now, if I need to figure it out, I need to get inside of an application and see, okay, it's not there. I have to go inside of another application. It's not there. I just want to watch football. I just want to watch soccer. It's just get it in front of me. And that's something that we need to get across. We need to get over the individual, I'm going to even say, like, it's an ego thing, right? We need to get over the ego of my brand is the brand that I'm protecting. It's super important and everybody knows me, right? No, let's just get the content in front of the consumers, shorten the time it takes for them to get to actual content they want to watch, get them inside of it. And we are willing to help there.
Right. So it's that fragmentation aspect, but then you need the data to be able to bring it all together for the user.
Here's the thing, is like, fragmentation is not bad. I don't mind that there's so many applications out there. I really don't. That's not the problem. The problem is, how do we get people to understand what is inside of those applications? It's fine. We can have 20 applications. That's easy, no problem. What we need to get those 20 applications to understand that sharing the metadata with the platform itself, where they can make the user experience better, that is the key to making sure that customers are going to get inside of those applications to watch their content.
Makes sense. Interesting. Okay, I do want to switch gears a little, but also kind of on the topic of fragmentation in terms of apps and distribution modes. It can pose a challenge for measurement. So I'm kind of curious, do you see any one biggest hurdle for more unified measurement across streaming and broadcast? And can you talk about why it's kind of important to have that more holistic view as viewers are migrating to streaming?
I mean, the main burden is just the understanding inside of the industry. Again, we're facing the same problem. Everybody needs to understand that having walled gardens where everybody's keeping stuff for themselves, not willing to share with anyone, and just like, this is mine, I mean, here, that is preventing the industry from moving forward, right? The biggest challenge that we have is that we have two worlds colliding here. We have the broadcast world on one side, and then we have the digital world on the other side. When it comes to streaming, we've sort of agreed, for whatever reason, or we were forced to agree, that the measurement needs to be coming from the digital space. So suddenly streaming on the same device, and this is the problem that we have on our side, is like we're watching a TV, right? The TV is the same device, same screen, two ways the signal is coming in. It doesn't make any sense for digital to be measured, or meaning streaming to be measured the digital way, and then all the broadcast stuff and the cable stuff being measured the broadcast way. One of it being, the broadcast way being measured GRPs and TRPs, gross rating points, target rating points, and then we have the streaming world being measured in hours of consumption and advertising being sold at two different weights. We have to consolidate that into one thing. It doesn't make any sense. Can you imagine this? If I'm watching my football and the signal is coming through my cable box, or if it's coming through my let's say my streaming application, the world is considering the measurement world is considering those to be two completely different things. And it's on the same device. It's on the TV, right? I'm watching on the same thing. We need to merge those two. We've introduced our own solution called the Index. We're still gathering all the information, making sure that it's properly communicated to everyone. But we're going to introduce that, a single unified measurement system on our platform. Now, we are open to everyone to join us, or we are open to work with someone else to make it a third-party thing, right? We just want to make sure that the device itself is measured properly. It's not one part measured digitally, the other part measured in a broadcast way. We need to have a unified solution.
And because what does that ultimately then, how does that benefit you and your partners by bringing that together?
I mean, it benefits the industry because it's fair. That's the first thing. It is very fair. It does not matter. There's no logic in it that we would have two ways of measuring it. And the other thing which is super, super important for me is we need to understand that we need to give proper money to people that are making content. I'll give you one example. So if I'm watching a piece of content on the broadcast side, and if I'm watching the same piece of content on the streaming side, there can be a discrepancy between advertising revenues on the same piece of content, depending on how it comes in. And that discrepancy could be 10x, because the digital world is forcing the digital metrics into the TV space. This is what even in Lisbon, we said TV is TV, right? We want this to be the same. Now, if with everything moving towards streaming, all of a lot of the content distribution is moving towards streaming, people are watching more and more streaming, and this being much, much, much cheaper than this, that means that the amount of money which is going to be given in advertising money towards people making content is going to be much lower. And we have to, as an industry, understand that, yes, it might be a short-term thing. It's good to have cheaper ads, right? But long-term, if nobody's going to be producing content is not getting cheaper. It is not getting disproportionately cheaper if it's being served on streaming. It's actually getting even more expensive. So what we need to understand is, 5 years down the road, if this continues, there's not going to be any money or enough money to produce quality content. And then we'll all have a huge problem.
So looking up through the long-term lens, I see.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Interesting. Okay, another topic, bundles, which have also cropped up in spades and proven popular. I think I saw some recent antenna data that bundles now account for 1/3 of all new streaming signups, and I think maybe 28% of total subscriptions, which is double from 2024. So, but I will say, tvOS platforms aren't necessarily who I think of first when it comes to bundles. So how do bundles play a role in the V ecosystem, and kind of how do you work for that for your platform and your partners?
Yeah, so we're currently, I'm going to say, we're tipping our toes into the field, right? But we know that this is the future. Now, we are organically the place where people interact with a big device. We're the native thing on the TV, right? So it does make sense if I turn on my TV, and imagine this in the future. I've got an option of I turn on the TV and I select, I want to watch X, Y, Z, D. Those are the three applications I want to do. One click, fingerprint, whatever it is, boom, I've subscribed to all four. It's just organically where these bundles should occur. From our side, it just makes sense because we control the user experience on the TV. We would have the option to properly allocate the revenues between them, and the person is interacting with the OS itself, right? When they turn on the TV, we are there, right? So we also have the account on the TV. We are right now rolling out the payment solution, which also organically means that we would be able to do it. It might be that right now the cable operators are the big one when it comes to someone accessing it through the cable, right? But with all of it moving natively to the TV itself, we believe that the OS as a platform has the opportunity to be it. And here's the trick. As an OS platform, we have an interest in being only a platform, right? If you're going to someone that is an operator or someone that is a streaming platform as well, there's always going to be a question of fair distribution of revenues. Are we going to push someone else more than someone else? We are purely a platform. For us, it's we got the end consumer in front of the TV. We don't own a platform. We don't own an advertising server. We just the platform that gives people access to those applications. So we are the neutral partner there. And I think this is where we should be building the trust on. We are not someone that also at the same time owes an advertising agency, at the same time owes its own streaming solution, right? Then if I were a partner, if I were a third-party provider, if I had a streaming platform, I would go, why should I partner with you inside of a bundle if you also have a platform? How does that work, right? Are you going to take more money from me or?
So you're more of a content agnostic, neutral player.
Completely. You're correct. We want to be a platform. We want to be completely agnostic.
But in a way, building your own channel store, it sounds like.
And again, we are not building our own channel store. Here's the trick: is like we do not make our own channels. We don't even license content on our own. So what we offer access to 50 million homes across the world. It's going to grow now to probably 55, 60, 65 towards the end of the year. So this is what we offer. If somebody has a channel, they can put the channel on our platform. If somebody has an app, they can put the app on our platform. If somebody has a shop, they can put that shop on our platform. We do not go out there and say, listen, guys, Sony or Paramount, here's $5 million. We want to license your content, then we're going to sell it, or we're going to make our channel ourselves. That is not what we do. We want to be completely agnostic and offer services. We're a platform. That's what we do.
Maybe subscription marketplace or some other term was more what I was looking for.
But here's the thing. What we offer to those guys is, again, it's access to the end customers. That's what we offer. We got a payment solution, which you can plug into, and then here's access to 50 million homes. If you want to be part of this bundle where somebody can select if they're going to buy you in combination with someone else and a third party, that's what we offer. But we are completely agnostic when it comes to that.
Yeah, you give them that reach. And then I think, some data has also shown bundles are proving successful at reducing churn too.
A day has 24 hours. It's absolute. Time is the only absolute thing in our industry. It's got 24 hours, 8 hours we sleep, 8 hours we're at work, 8 hours is what we've got to talk to people. But here's the thing. We're in the attention industry, which means that we are competing with books, playing football outside, playing baseball, walking, eating. We're competing with attention all over the place. Now, if there's 25 applications, there's not going to be 25 times more time. Time is absolute. There's only 8 hours to go. So we need to smartly figure out, instead of having one more streaming service with $7.99, another streaming service is $14.99, let's figure out a way of how we properly distribute money among these services, depending on the consumption the customer has done. The industry is not grown up, is not at this stage yet. But it needs to get to that stage, because we also need to understand whether we are not competing just among ourselves. We're competing with this thing. We're competing with the ebook reader over there in the back. We're competing for attention. And just fighting among ourselves is not going to help us.
Yeah, very interesting. All right, well, so interesting time in the industry. A lot to look forward to, a lot to work out. But this has been super interesting. Thank you so much for being here with Denis. Thanks for watching, and talk to you soon.